Doctor, can you talk about the Fluoride Action Network and what you're about and what sort of things you hope to accomplish?
Well, when I got involved, my wife twisted my arm. I didn't want this issue because I was very much involved with waste. The waste issue has been involved for 27 years. It's taken me to 49 states, 7 provinces in Canada, and 53 other countries. So nearly all my weekends, holidays were mortgaged. This is all pro bono stuff. And I'm trying to hold this job down of teaching chemistry at a university and doing all this stuff on waste. And then she comes in with this third issue of fluoridation. And when she put these things on my desk, I said, she says, "Will you read these?" I said, "What is it?" She says, "Oh, it's fluoridation." I said, "Take those away. These people are crazy." That's what I thought. So I had swallowed the American paradigm that people opposed to fluoridation are Looney Tunes, Dr. Strangelove, etc. It's very well constructed propaganda. But anyway, so 16 years of fighting this and very frustrating shadow boxing. Anyway, when we started to get involved, we could see both historically and at that time in '96 that we had a very good chance of beating fluoridation at the community level. If it came to a debate, if both sides got an airing in the local media, etc., then we had a good chance of winning. But none of this was adding up. Nobody was knitting these individual campaigns together. So that's what the Fluoride Action Network was to bring these different campaigns at the local level and sometimes at the state level into a national and international level. And our development from 1996 onwards coincided with the advent of internet and emails and so on. So what started as hard newsletter typed out, etc., became this instant communication. So it was possible to network all the scientists in, say, Australia, New Zealand, Israel, Ireland, England, Canada, throughout the United States. We could bring everybody onto the same page. We could strengthen the arguments, make the documents available, and that's another thing. All the documents that they could keep hidden in libraries and were very difficult to access, now we can make all those documents accessible and visible. And the latest phase on this is translating the Chinese studies that not even our English researchers knew were available. That's what Choi did. This is what the Harvard team did. They had quite a number of the IQ studies in China translated. So they had a much larger body of work to put into their meta-analysis than any Western researcher knew was out there. And we're doing the same thing now with more bone studies on osteoarthritis and possibly diabetes and so on. So there's a lot more. There are many bombshells which are going to come out in the next few months. So that's really, I think the Fluoride Action Network has gone as far as it has because of the internet. Because otherwise it would be impossible to network all these people from Australia and New Zealand. Actually, I'm one of the few people in this whole network that gets to meet everybody. Because I've been to Australia, New Zealand, and Israel, and Ireland, and England, and so on. And I get to meet all the activists. I'm a very privileged person. I get to meet in person all these people. Most of them are working two jobs. They have to earn a living, and in their spare time, and it's a thankless task. I mean, you're not made to feel good in your community. You're usually ostracized. They make a point of painting you as a troublemaker, as a loudmouth, vocal minority. You know, it's very difficult for people to do that, and they burn out. They burn out.
Sure.
But the network is important to fight burnout, because if you know that there are all these other people out there that are doing the same thing as you, they're all minorities in their individual communities. But I think overall, you'll find in this movement a larger number of people who are incredibly well educated on this issue, far more educated on this issue than most of the people working for health agencies. We know more about this issue than they, because they only get one side of it. They only get the package of propaganda from whoever's pulling the strings. Very few of them do what citizens do, which is to actually trawl everywhere for every speck of information. We got these little sponges out there that are absorbing everything you can think of. They know, you know, about teeth, about bones, about brains, and so on. My son being the classic example. My son, who was really, if we have any success at all, I think 99% of it comes down to him. He only did one science course at university, beginning astronomy, and yet he's absorbed the whole literature of fluoride. He probably knows more about the literature on fluoride than any other living person. And over the last, since March of this year, he has been intensely revamping the website, getting the new literature, getting the Chinese studies translated and so on top of being a clerk for a law judge. He's just graduated law school a year ago, and for the last year he's been clerking for a federal law judge. So he's been working about 80 hours a week, both ends of the candle, as it were. And it's just amazing. So we thought when he went to law school that was it, that he'd done what he could for fluoride. He'd made the web page, he made this lovely videotape called Professional Perspectives on Water Fluoridation, and people can watch this online. It's only 28 minutes, but 15 scientists go through 10 arguments why fluoridation is a bad idea. There's a Nobel Prize winner. There's 3 members of the National Research Council report. There's 2 members, former employees of the EPA, dentists and doctors and scientists, myself. In 28 minutes, I think the average person with an open mind would see there's something wrong with this. I would say that is our most potent weapon. And if anybody, say a scientific professional, having looked at that videotape and it whets their appetite, but they want to be more convinced, I think that plus our book should do it. And then you've got the third component, which is our health database, is constantly updating what we know on the science. So, you know, the book has been now out for 2 years. And when we wrote that book, I think there were 23 IQ studies that we talked about. There's now 33. So that we have to constantly update. But we can do that on the web.